Hello, 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 guys. Welcome back to my channel. It's Tammy Washington de Sencion here, back for another video. You guys know this is the place for learning all about being an expat, an entrepreneur, and an investor. That's my life, guys, living life to the full. And I just like sharing advice, tips, and things that I can do to help you have the same exact journey for those who want it. So listen, I just did a video on like all the things I hate about living in the Dominican Republic. And I will tell you guys, of course, I had to do a video about what I love in the Dominican Republic because I've been here for 2 years. I really, really, really do love living here. And so I did not want to talk about all the bad things without going in and really sharing all the amazing things about living here. Okay. And so, with that said, let's jump into the video. Okay, so the number one thing, obviously, that everybody loves about living in the Dominican Republic is the amazing environment, the beautiful blue water of the beaches, the white sand beaches. I mean, just listen, I think definitely because of Corona last year, I definitely got an opportunity to truly appreciate the island because I live in Punta Cana. A lot of times there's tons of tourists in the area, which I love because it kind of gives you people to talk to and things like that, especially being an American. But sometimes the beaches are so overcrowded. Sometimes the security guards on the beaches are like insane. They don't want you to walk in front of their hotels and all kinds of stuff on the beach. Like it's ridiculous. But during COVID, there were no people. So my husband and I we would go out for morning walks on the beach, and it was just like literally I would just be praying and I'm like, God, this is heaven on earth. Thank you, thank you, thank you for creating the Dominican Republic. So, yes, guys, the beautiful, beautiful, amazing scenery is probably the number one thing I love about living here. Number two, I love, 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 guys, the laid back personalities of everybody. I love just, it's just a laid back feeling. It's funny because I go back and forth to the US now for work. Sometimes I might be doing events with like investors and things like that. And immediately, I feel like as soon as I land in the US, especially if I'm in like Atlanta or Miami, it's like I can feel the stress in the airport. Like even driving, like you just, it's just a different energy in the US. And I didn't even realize it until I started really living here and then going back. Now it's like I can see it. I'm like, wow, everybody here is just so stressed out. Whereas in the DR, I have definitely learned to relax, relate, and release. Things happen no matter where you are. But I feel like here, because the mentality is like tranquilo, tranquilo, like relax, like it's okay. It has really helped me to calm down and just be just a little bit more even keeled, I think. So I love how laid back it is here. Number three, guys, the tropical fresh fruit. Oh my gosh. Let me tell you something. I have never in my life had mangoes that taste so good. I have never in my life had avocados that taste so good. The fruit, and I mean literally, like you're like buying fruit off of somebody's truck, okay? And you bite into that thing, and it is just like, oh my gosh. And sometimes you forget, like this year, over the last past month, I've had like three different friends who came to Punta Cana to visit. And so then you see their reaction to the food and you forget, and they're just like, oh my gosh, this fruit tastes so good. It's so good. I'm like, yeah, I forgot. It does taste good. And here's the other thing I now notice when I go back to the US. I went to Dallas this year. I went to Houston this year. I went to Port Arthur, Texas this year. I went to Colorado. I went to a lot of different cities this year. And here's what I remember now. Especially going to Texas, every meal I needed to take a nap afterwards. Every meal I felt like sick afterwards, like just that overfull feeling. And every meal I had a to-go box. Whereas here, like I will go someplace and I will eat the full meal and I never, ever, ever have that feeling. So guys, there is definitely something about the food in the US that's differently. By the way, I didn't really change my diet much, but I don't really have high blood pressure anymore. Sometimes it still flares up, but in the US, I had really high blood pressure. Here, not so much. Something to think about. That goes into number four. I just feel like the food is just much fresher here. I just feel like everything is much fresher. The food tastes a little bit different. There are some things I do miss about the US. Let me tell you something. There are plenty of days where I'm like, man, I wish I could just draw the Chick-fil-A right now. I wish I could go get a Chick-fil-A sandwich. Okay. But it's okay. I do feel like the food here just, I don't know, I feel like the quality is just a lot better. Okay, number five. One of the things I do love about living here is that it is a cash society. What does that mean? So I didn't realize until I moved here how many loops and hoops and things that people have to jump through just to have things in the US. Okay, so for example, I rent this condo, right? When I went to come look at this condo, I looked, I had already lived in this condo building before. If you go back to some of my earlier videos, you will actually see when I moved into this building. But during the time when during COVID, actually, I had left for 2 months, so I had to give that condo up. And so I ended up renting someplace else. It was awful. I might have to do a whole nother video on that. It was awful. But I ended up deciding to come back because there was another owner who was renting out a condo in this building, and I loved it so much. Anyway, all that to say, I came in, looked around. I was like, I love it. It's fine. They're like, okay, cool. This is the deposit. This is the first month rent. I went ahead, I had the cash on me already. I went ahead, gave them the cash, and they were like, okay, here's the key, you can move in. Like, and that's how it is here. Like, if you're renting or anything like that. Same thing with renting a car. Although with the cars now I'm finding, when I first got here, everything was just really cash, but now I'm finding that you still have to put down a card for a deposit in case you like wreck the car. But for the most part, when I first got here, everything was just cash. Um, so yeah, it's just so easy. And I remember the first time I rented and I'm like, that's it? Like, I didn't have to fill out, like, I think I did put in like just so that they have my name and all that kind of stuff, but it wasn't like an application that somebody had to go and look. No credit checks, nothing. Just you got the cash, let's go. And so for me, I just think it's just so much easier because now when I think about going back to the US, it's like, goodness gracious, think about all the things you got to do just to kind of get reset up. So for me, I think I love it. Same thing with buying houses here. You'll see a lot of people will tell you here that people pay cash for houses. So that's what we're doing right now. Me and my husband, we're just saving up cash. I know it sucks because you're saving like, $200,000. But you're like, okay, when I get it, it's gonna be mine and I'm not ever gonna have to worry about a mortgage. So it's gonna be awesome. Cash society. The other thing I love about living here, guys, is the people. The people, I feel like people are very, very nice. Now, granted, guys, everywhere you go, there's always going to be something, right? I have had my fair share of people, being mean or things like that. But I will say, generally, in comparison to the US, people here are just very, very nice. And honestly, I feel like once you get out of the tourist areas, people are even nicer. I feel like sometimes in the tourist areas, a lot of the people who are from here, like the Dominicans, sometimes they can get very upset because, it's almost like, oh, these Americans, they expect us to learn their language to speak to them, which is kind of true sometimes. But, I think that's a whole nother story. I think most people want to learn Spanish, but they like living in Punta Cana because if I go to a restaurant, I know that for the most part, if I don't know complete Spanish, I can order my food and they still understand, or there's at least one person I can communicate with. Um, and that's why I choose to live in Punta Cana. So that's kind of my mentality with it. You're choosing to work in Punta Cana, right? Like, especially like the girls at like the money exchange, and like they get mad when you try to speak to them in English, and I'm like, but I'm trying in Spanish and you can't understand what I'm saying. Why are you working at a money exchange? A money exchange literally means people are coming in here to exchange their money to work. This was supposed to be about the nice people. I don't know how I got off on a tangent about the mean people, but those are the only times I've really seen people be kind of rude and mean. Which again, we're in their country. So if it were in the US, it would be completely different. Now, I will say things like this. Okay, for example, I remember one of the first times I went to go get my nails done here. And I remember sitting in the chair and they were doing the, letting my feet soak. And I heard the girl in the back room, like she was going to get coffee for me because everything here is full service. Oh gosh, everything here is full service. She was in the back with her coffee, like putting together the coffee or whatever. And I heard the Google Translate voice going off. And so she kept replaying it, and it was something like, "Would you like sugar with this?" or something. And so she was playing it and repeating it so that once she came out of the back room, she could say it to me in English. Let me tell you something. I don't think that would ever happen in the US. I don't think that would ever happen. I just don't. I don't think that if I were in a nail salon in the US and I spoke Spanish, that there would be somebody in the back room practicing Spanish so that they could speak to me in my language as they were. I don't think it's going to happen. But those are the kind of things that I do experience here in the Dominican Republic. And so I'll say, in general, I feel like people here are just very, very nice. Number 7. So I kind of mentioned it before, but I love the fact that so many things here are full service. So for example, ladies here in the Dominican Republic, you are not allowed to pump your own gas. Nope, that's like an actual job. So you pull your car up to the gas pump and somebody is there, just like back in the 50s. Somebody's there to pump your gas, you pay them. I often tip them as well because they did a good job. Sometimes they'll talk to you. It's really cool. I love the fact that so many things are just like full service here. That's the main thing. And of course, right now I can't think of anything else. But those are some of the main things. It's just like I feel like here everything is a lot more formal. You go to the bank, the security guard is there and he's going to open the door for you. Just yeah, like full service. Number 8. Okay, I know this is kind of a weird one, but this is for all the people who might be looking to leave the US, people who might want to be an expat, but you're trying to figure out where in the world you want to go. One of the things I love about living in the Dominican Republic is that it is a quick flight home. Okay, so when I was moving here, my family was just like, "You're moving? Why? You're going to the Dominican Republic?" Actually, no, they weren't. They weren't surprised because they were like, "Oh, you're doing something crazy again," because that's just my personality. I moved to LA at 22 by myself. Okay, I'm from South Carolina, by the way. And so that was just not something that people do when you're from a very small town, like one stoplight town in South Carolina. So my family was kind of used to it at this point of like, Tammy's the adventurous one. So they were like, "Oh, you're moving to an island. Okay, interesting. But I will say this, I explained to them, "Hey guys, so remember when I lived in California, it would take me like 8 hours to get home. Guess what? I'm actually closer. I'm actually closer than when I lived in California for 15 years. So it's literally just a quick flight away." And I always have to explain that to people because you're in a different country, it feels like, "Oh my gosh, you're so far away. Oh my gosh, you're so far." And I'm like, "No, I'm really not." Like technically I could take a 2-hour flight and go to Miami and be back in the US in like no time. So for me, I like that. I have some friends who are in Dubai. I have some friends who are thinking about moving to Spain. And a lot of the things that they also have to factor in is just the time, how much time it takes you to get home. So for me, I love that. Like any flight that I book, for the most part, I want to be home in less than 6 hours. So that's always great. Okay, so people always ask, what are the prices like? Is it people, well, say there's two people. There are some people who are really curious, and then there are other people who are like, "Oh my God, I hear it's so cheap. Heard you could get an apartment for like $200." And I'm like, "Yeah, but what kind of apartment? You ain't gonna be nowhere near the beach. You're not gonna have air conditioning. You're not gonna have hot water. Do you want to live there? Be my guest, right? I'm not living that way." Right. But what I will say is I love the prices of services. So like hair, nails, okay? Like all of these are very, very cheap. And even if you go to the really nice salons, it's probably still going to be cheaper than if you were to go in the US. So the salon that I go to for my nails, I really, really like them. It's kind of a family environment. I love the girl who owns it. They work with me on my lack of Spanish. We be in there trying, but usually to get a full manicure, full manicure, full pedicure with nails, design, everything is usually 1,200 pesos, which is about, depending upon the exchange rate, 24, $25. Okay, so manicure, pedicure, full set of nails, that don't happen in the US. You might get your nails done for $25. And then for my hair, when I was going to the salon to get my hair done, I don't remember how much it was, guys, but I want to say I have a video that I posted when I first moved here that I went to the salon and I laid out all the prices. So make sure you go back and watch that video. But I want to say on average, I was probably paying about 25, $30 to get my hair pressed. Whereas in the US, it would have been about I think in Atlanta, I was paying like $65 every 2 weeks to get my hair pressed. So right now, I wear braids a lot because number one, it's hot. It's hot in this Caribbean heat, okay? And I like to be able to feel my scalp. I have found that getting my hair done here doesn't really last. And because of all the heat that they put on your hair, I found that my hair was breaking off. So I have basically become a braids girl. And the girl that braids my hair can be anywhere from, depending upon what all she's gonna do to it, okay? So if she just braids my hair, usually it's 20 bucks. Not too shabby, right? But what has happened lately is because usually if I'm getting braids, I take them out, wash my hair, and then basically put them back in. So she'll come over and take the braids out for me. I'll wash my hair and then she'll rebraid it. So when she does that, I basically pay her like double. So I pay her 2,000 pesos, which is about 40 bucks. Okay. Somebody was just like, I'm coming to DR just to get my hair braided. Yes, girl. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Number 10. Okay. One of the things I do love about this area and this place is just the history, the history, the history, the history. Just being able to go to Santo Domingo and seeing all the historical sites, being able to see like the first street in America, just to, understand that like this is where Christopher Columbus landed. He was a horrible person, obviously, but it is a part of our history. And to just think about like, man, what was happening here before he got here, and just to be able to see like the first hospital in the US, or not in the US, I'm sorry, in America, because these are the Americas, to see like all of these things that were built and just think about really like what happened here, how it completely changed the world. So just going and seeing all of those historical sites, I love it. I love it. I love it. Just even going to other parts of the island and just kind of learning all the history and everything. For me, it's a great adventure because, in the US, you hear the same history over and over and over again. You learn new things, obviously, especially if you go into different states, but it's amazing to live in a new country and to learn all of their history, because here's what I have learned. Like if I talk to my husband about any of my favorite historical leaders, if I talk to him about Dr. Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, they know exactly who these people are, right? But if he talks to me about people who have done amazing things in his country, we don't know who they are at all, right? So I am really enjoying learning all the history of being here in the Dominican Republic. It's really fascinating. Okay, and so here is the last thing, and this is the last thing on my list, but probably not the last thing I love about being here. The last thing I love is just the safety. I feel so safe like living here. I moved here from Atlanta. I was living in a good area in Atlanta. I was living in Brookhaven. And so I never felt unsafe there, but you would always hear about people's cars getting broken into. You would like, listen, okay? I feel so safe here. Like I walk around at night by myself. Like it's funny when my friends and family now come to visit, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna get on the back of this guy's motorcycle." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forgot." Like that is like a weird thing. Like here, there's no fear at all. Like I don't feel like, "Oh my gosh, this person is gonna kidnap me," or something like that. And it's so weird because I realize that people have this this weird fear when they come here, like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared, I'm so nervous. And I'm like, it's the Dominican Republic. Like you never really hear about crime. And if you do, it is a big deal when you do hear about it. And usually it's not just like random crimes. It's not like I have never heard of a school shooting or a mass shooting or any of those things that you now get worried about in the US. So for me, it's so interesting because I remember the first time I went to my husband's like best friend's uh, wife's baby shower. And I was sitting there waiting for the baby shower to start. And then I'm just like looking up and down the street, and you see these little kids just walking up and down the street, running in the street. I'm like talking like 2 or 3 years old. And my heart started beating fast. And I'm like, where are their moms? Like, where's that little girl's mom? And I didn't realize at that time, because again, this was like within the first couple weeks of me moving here. I didn't realize how afraid we are for children, because we know what can happen to children when, when they're left by themselves, right? Who we are all about stranger danger. Whereas here, it reminds me of when I grew up in South Carolina, everybody knew everybody. Our parents would send us outside and we would play all day. We would walk to the store, we would be in the woods, literally in the woods, picking blueberries, eating plums off of people's trees. And it's very much like that. Like you'll hear people talk about, oh, walking around the neighborhood and oh, I picked a mango and ate it. And it's just to me, honestly, it reminds me of kind of like what it was in the US back in the day when we did not have so much crime and violence and all the stuff that you have to worry about. So I personally believe that when you come here, you really don't have to worry about crime as much as you do in the US. Some people will disagree and say no, whatever, but for me personally, I feel like it's much safer for me to be here than there. Okay, guys, so thank you so much for tuning in. I hope these really helped you. If you're thinking about visiting the Dominican Republic, please come. It is a beautiful island. If you're thinking about moving to the Dominican Republic, please come. It's a beautiful island, but this is what I will say. Come for like a month or two, check it out before you leave everything. But ultimately, especially if you know Spanish, like, listen, come on. It's an absolutely amazing place. And definitely, if this is your first time on my channel, please subscribe, please like, please leave me a comment. If you're an expat, tell me, what do you love about living in the Dominican Republic? If you are an expat somewhere else in the world, tell me, what is it that you love about where you are and where should I go visit? Okay. We are looking for places to go visit. So with that said, guys, I am Tammy Washington de Sencion. Please come back for more videos on being an expat, being an entrepreneur, and being an investor, because what I want to do, guys, is help you to live your best life. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye.